My son Jarrod, when he was 8 years old, decided he wanted to be a professional diver. So he started working toward that goal when he was 12 and picked up a love for photography. There was a lot of people who were never going to get to experience the beauty of the reefs. And so he decided to bring it up to sea level so everyone could enjoy it. Then when he was in high school at Bartow Senior High School in Summerlin, he joined a club, Young Jacket Press, YJP, and he really enjoyed above water photography and journalism. So it continued with his photography, and he made a decision to take a step back and finish his dive education and close that out.
What I really find enjoyable about being a scuba instructor is it's just the happiness and the enjoyment that it brings to all the people. Normally when they go diving, it's church, it's meditation, it's very easy, relaxing mindset, and seeing the students down there at peace, the 10-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, the excitement and some of the joy it can bring to anyone's, but especially their age face when they go down and they see, oh, that's Nemo, that's Dory, that's Bruce. They just lose it, and you can see it. The eyes are the window to the soul. You can see it underwater in their eyes. You talk about it when you get up on the boat. It makes me feel almost good as a person, but it shows I'm doing some good in this world. I'm doing some good for the reef. It's a wonderful thing.
He came home maybe 2 years ago and downsized, got a motorcycle, took the safety course, because Jarrod was always that kid who you couldn't fit into a box, who had to live on the edge. On September 27th, Jarrod was hit when a woman failed to yield the right of way and ran through a light and killed him instantly on South Florida Avenue here in Polk County.
But at 24 years old, his life was cut short at this intersection of South Florida Avenue and West Alamo Drive. Police say witnesses reported a 72-year-old driver turned left into the motorcyclist's path.
He lived for 9 minutes. He could not be saved. And that was the end of Jarrod's monumentous life. We have a lot of pain because we didn't have any closure. Couldn't ever see Jarrod again. So it's really, really hard. It's been tough. But he was doing what he loved. He was writing. And Jarrod always said when he rode, it felt like the wind just blew right through him. It cleared his head. It was his passion. And even though Mom had asked him many times to give up that motorcycle, he was not going to give it up. He absolutely loved the freedom and the open road, and rode every chance he could get. So he went out on his own terms as far as not letting people make decisions for him. Of course, at 24 years old, you don't expect someone to run a red light and end your life when you have so many goals and plans and dreams. When she took Jarrod from us, she took so many parts of Jarrod from so many different people. He took a reef conservationist, he took a friend, he took a brother, he took a son, just left a huge hole in a lot of different people's lives.
I work with the traffic unit as part of the sheriff's office. Inside the traffic unit, I'm also a motor deputy on the motorcycle unit. We do traffic enforcement, traffic violations, and things like that. Also, we work traffic crashes when people get into accidents or crashes, whether it be mostly what we do is the serious bodily injury crashes or fatality crashes. One of the biggest problems that we see with motorcycles and why they crash is their training and experience. People can go and get a motorcycle endorsement fairly easy, but they don't really take the step to go and do extra training to teach them better ways of how to ride.
You never ever want to get on a motorcycle without taking the safety course. You just don't, not only for you but for everybody else.
I started the company, which is Motorcycle Safety Training of Polk County Incorporated, in 2005, March 2005. And I started it, I had been teaching school, retired from teaching. I had been riding for almost 5 or 8 years by that point, and I wanted to keep teaching. And a friend of mine said, well, make a business. So you're still teaching, but now you're teaching what you love. So now I get to teach my passion. I get to teach people how to ride, not only how to ride, but how to be safe and how to have a good time. Because that's what it's all about. And for people that come out here for the classes, it's a learning experience. It increases your mind. You get in touch with nature, and you meet a lot of good people. There's a classroom portion, and then there is a quiz at the end of that class. So there's your written test from the student book. And then after the 2 riding days, there is a riding, what we call eval, where we do test what we've taught you guys for the past 2 days. This class is required in the state of Florida to get your motorcycle license. There's no other way to get a license. This law came into effect in July of 2008, and the purpose behind it was to try to reduce motorcycle fatalities, and it's done that.
Well, they call us rider coaches. Not so much instructors anymore, but more of a coach. It's kind of a self-taught class in a way. We give them guidelines and we step back and sort of judge them a little bit, I guess, but kind of give them encouragement and make sure they're using the techniques they're supposed to do.
The course that I'm teaching is the Basic Riders class, which is through the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, who governs me and my business. The state of Florida actually uses this class to get your license in the state of Florida. It's 15 hours long for people who've never ridden before, but anybody can take it. It covers the very basics. It's a very step-by-step curriculum, and it's very adult-friendly learner.
I think it provides them with the correct technique that they never would have developed or learned on their own. To me, technique is everything as far as riding a motorcycle.
It's more about techniques than anything on a motorcycle. Well, the simple ones are looking where you want to go, keeping your head and eyes up, staying focused, not getting in a hurry. I always tell people if they're in a hurry to ride the car that day, not the motorcycle. Motorcycles are not the safest means of transportation. So sticking with the basic stuff.
So the purpose of the company is to provide a service to the public that will help them to be a better rider if they decide to ride motorcycles.
It teaches the basic stuff you need to know. Gets you started, on your path of becoming a good motorcyclist. It's going to teach you how to start and stop, how to make turns, how to do emergency stops, and how to be aware of what's going on around you out there on the highway.
We do a lot of talking to them and stuff like that, and encourage them to keep on their practice and stuff like that so they can survive the streets out there, I guess.
2019, total crashes, fatalities in Polk County, we had 83. 34 of those were motorcycles, which out of 83 crashes with 34 of them being motorcycle fatalities, that comes out to 41% being motorcycles.
We need to be less distracted. We're texting, we're checking emails, we're putting on makeup, we're eating in our cars, we're trying to take care of business to and from appointments and work. We use our cars like offices.
The population keeps growing every day. More and more people move here. So with that, you bring more traffic, more vehicles. You think if one family moves to Florida, you're bringing 2, sometimes more vehicles with just one family. And our roads, years ago, were not built for the people that we have now. There's just not, that's why we have a lot of backups on highways and interstates, because we have a lot more population now than we did when I-4 was built.
I think the only way the fatality rate's going to come down is personal accountability, that when you're in a vehicle, that you have to take responsibility and stay completely focused on the road. That's the number one thing we're going to do to get those numbers down.
It's really being aware of everything that's going on around you and taking that into consideration when you make a decision on which way to go or how fast to go or where to go. You need to know what's going on around you because you are the one person responsible for your safety.
And when you are riding a motorcycle, your situational awareness has to be 10 times that of a motorist, because you're having to watch not only what you're doing, but you're having to watch everybody else that doesn't see you.
Whether it's they're driving, other people's driving, people are always in a hurry. That's what we find a lot of, is that everybody is fast paced now. Everybody's in a hurry to get to work and get home and get to the kids and do different things, and people just need to slow down a little bit. And I think that would make people more aware of their surroundings if they just slowed down and paid attention to driving, not everything else that they've got going on.
Situational awareness is probably the largest thing you can do for yourself. The number one priority is become aware.
The biggest thing that a rider can do to help ensure his safety is to make himself visible. A lot of motorcyclists don't think about whether other people can see them, and oftentimes they do what I call hiding in traffic. The people didn't see them because they were hiding behind another vehicle. You need to make yourself visible and have plenty of space between yourself and other cars.
My son had a very loud exhaust on his, so you could hear him before you could see him. A lot of times people think that motorcycles are trying to show off because they have a loud exhaust. That's not the case. The point is they want you to be able to hear them and see them. So they're always working on ways to make their bike maybe a tiny bit louder, a little bit brighter, because if you can see them, they're less likely to be caught off guard.
A lot of motorists, if they've never had any contact with a motorcyclist or they don't know anybody that rides a motorcycle, they're prone not to see them.
You need to look to see, is there someone trying to beat the light? Is there someone who's going to do an illegal U-turn? Is there someone, you always need to be aware. Situational awareness.
Being on a motorcycle almost every day, all day long, I think I'm more aware of my surroundings and what's going on than just leisurely riding to wherever I'm going. One, being a deputy and paying attention to other violations, but I'm also paying attention to other people to keep myself safe.
So we're trying to teach the children to count motorcycles. And you just yell out, motorcycle, and your kids will automatically start looking for motorcycles. And at the end of your ride, when you get home, you say, how many motorcycles did we see? We saw 5. What color were they? And you play this game with them. And what you're doing is you're training them to look and be observant for smaller, vulnerable users on the road, so that when they turn 16 or 17 and they're behind the wheel of a car, their brains have already been trained to look for a vulnerable user. Maybe you say bicycle, maybe you say pedestrian, but we're asking parents to make their children aware and make it a game so it's fun to train their brains to look for vulnerable users that are sharing the road with the cars.